Hello there, my name is Mind, and welcome back to my second video. So today, I wanted to talk about, well, what is D.I.D? And I wanted to really get down into the nitty-gritty of it before, well, I get into what my experiences are like, because you should know and be educated about what the general of it is before I talk about what I have to go through. So, D.I.D, aka dissociative identity disorder, is a mental disorder that is often caused by extreme traumatic events and commonly is found beginning with children of neglect, SA, and abuse. Now, this disorder is not fun. A lot of media and such has portrayed it as something kind of to be fantasized and romanticized about. I personally have seen a lot of reels that they don't portray it properly. This illness causes extreme mental, physical, and social difficulties as the disorder, it affects every part of that person's life. And though not much research has been done, it often overlaps other mental illnesses such as PTSD. It can mess with your ADHD or autism diagnoses as well. And it is hard to find it sometimes because of the research, because it is a underlying condition more seen. You don't see someone with D.I.D usually walking around the street and you can spot them and you can point and go, yeah, they have D.I.D. It's a protective illness. It's not something that you can just spot and go, yeah, no, that's D.I.D. It's not that easy, unfortunately. So let's get over how in the DSM-5, D.I.D is classified. And there's 5 major areas, and I'll go into my thoughts of each of those areas as well. So first off, you have 2 or more distinct identities or personality states that are present, and they each have their own process of perceiving patterns and relating to the environment around you and their being of self. This is commonly known as alters, which I'll be going into more depth when I talk about my people, but think of it as you're one person and your alter's another person. I personally don't like using alters, but I might to better use terminology that people who also have D.I.D would understand. So I might cover terminology later as well. Second thing, amnesia must occur, defined as gaps in the recall of everyday events, important personal information, or traumatic events. This could be small things. These could be complete blackouts as well. For myself, I just find little blips of I may not remember what I've said, what I did, or I'll have nights where I completely forget if I did something or said something. And there's even times where my own memory literally comes back to me and it's not my own memory. So more often with not, people with D.I.D, they have heavy amnesia, and that is one of the biggest signs to help come with it. But that's also where it gets hard, because PTSD also has heavy amnesia symptoms. Let's see. This is a big thing, is that this D.I.D is not a part of normal cultural or religious practices. So D.I.D is to eliminate diagnoses in cultures or situations where multiplicity is appropriate. So if you have an imaginary friend, that's not D.I.D. That's something we commonly find in American society. However, if it's not appropriate for your society or your religion, that's where you want to kind of look as to, okay, yeah, no, that's different. That's definitely not normal. And that's the difference. And Hey guys, it's Editor Mind here. So I apparently skipped over one of the symptoms, and it's actually supposed to be number 4, but it's that the person should be concerned, or that they should be very much aware that they're having a mental breakdown essentially, and they should be having distress because of it. Now, I personally don't agree with this diagnosis, but that is one of the categories and one of the symptoms. So, didn't want to forget that now. But yes, that is all 5 of the DSM-5, which it'll keep going. So, keep going me. Number 5 is that the symptoms are not due to psychological effects of substance abuse or general medical conditions. So, like seizures or blacking out due to alcohol or drug manipulation. So, those cannot be taken into consideration when it comes to diagnosis. Now, the symptoms, we kind of already went into it. Amnesia is a heavy symptom. You're going to have more than one personality set almost. But commonly, dissociating or zoning out, but kind of to a more extreme level, depersonalization, alters or altered states of mind, and amnesia. Those are going to be your main symptoms that are commonly found with people with D.I.D. Now, I'm going to add what I feel should be also added that are very common from what I've seen and how I've met other people with D.I.D. is that gender and body dysphoria, if you have multiple gendered alters, can happen. Heavy tiredness from switching between the alters, and you can have a lot of exhaustion from it as well. Extreme mood swings. You can be happy one moment and sad the next, or even the next one would be mixed feelings, is that you can have multiple reactions at once. It's like a crowd and you are all reacting to the same thing at once, but each of those people in that crowd all have different reactions, and that can be confusing, that can be difficult and hard and really frustrating to deal with. Now, something that also comes with how alters are made is they can be all formed from different scenarios, usually from trauma. Yes, they all stem from that. But because of this, you have alters that are made from adopting fake or fantasy characters, which I'm not sure on what the term is exactly. I know there is one, but I've seen a lot of debate, so I will not be saying what it is, but there is a term for it, and it's very common from what I've seen, or it's not. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a professional, but I've done my research. There's another one of making original characters, which I myself have done, and it's almost like when you put yourself into a character so hard it's literally a part of you. Then there's a traumatic event creating almost like a quote-unquote alter ego, and it separates how you have to mentally be, almost. Then there's personifications of emotions and trauma, kind of like, anger and sadness from Inside Out. That's how I like to imagine it. So now that we've got the gist of what D.I.D is, D.I.D, not G.I.D. I'm a little silly today. So is D.I.D a trend or a brand? It really isn't. D.I.D isn't a trend, and it's actually been around for a lot longer than you may know or have ever learned it to be. Currently, D.I.D is actually a mental health disorder that is recognized in the world in mental health studies and records and has been recorded as early as 1584. The first patient diagnosed, named Jeanne Ferry, I could be pronouncing that wrong, who had child alters found in their study. Another patient in 1882 named Louise Augustine Vivet originally had D.I.D. However, it was originally categorized under its own umbrella term of hysteria. So it was put under there until later kind of folded in under schizophrenia. However, D.I.D. wasn't recognized until shell shock in soldiers and PTSD in women and children began to get attention and research. That dissociation and D.I.D. really began to get taken notice of and actually separated from it. Among other health disorders, yes, D.I.D. has been seen more in social media or pop culture, though not as commonly, of course. But it's only because we can now see everyone's experiences. People who have the same thing, of course, are going to flock together. So you see more people with D.I.D. because we can finally see each other now. We can see that, yes, you have D.I.D. and I have D.I.D. and we can all hang out in a big old party. But it's only found that 1.5% of the population show signs of D.I.D. or dissociative disorders common to it. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. However, out of billions of people, that's at least, that's a big number, 985 4 million people. I'm bad at numbers. It's a big number. There's a lot of zeros. So in your lifetime, you may meet someone with DID at least once. Now, yes, DID is also found in other places other than America. However, it's not commonly found in America as much as studies may show, but that's because there's actually been a lack of training. There's been a lack of making sure that health professionals all around the world are trained to know to look for the signs of DID. It's not as common and is only now getting more heavily recognized because of many kids coming out being neglected, abused, having traumatic events, and that's gonna cause more people to have PTSD or dissociative struggles, and it sucks, but it is being found out and being trained more upon within therapists, which is a really good thing. Now, DID is not a fad, and it should not be faked either, because, like we said, social media has allowed people to show that they have mental illnesses and DID, anxiety, ADHD. However, that's also created a heavy uptick in things like it being romanticized or manipulated for people who don't have it to pretend they do for attention. And because of that, we need to make sure that we don't undermine those that do have it. It is not fun. As I mentioned before, there are things like dissociating, zoning out, lapses of memory where you can't even remember important parts of your past, and that is scary. That is terrifying. And it's not something to be romanticized about. It's not something people should be doing for attention. And it's awful seeing that. So we should be supporting people for those who have shown that they have either done research to figure out if they have had the illness and are looking to get diagnosed, and supporting those who do have the actual diagnosis. And the thing is for those who have done their research, who are waiting to get diagnosed, we should not belittle them, because it is not always the patient's fault if they can't get diagnosed yet. It is a hard process, it takes time, and sometimes it comes with a price tag that we can't pay for. And that sucks. But we should still support those people, and we should talk to the people who are doing it for attention and tell them this is not okay. We can be humble and kind to those and actually talk about educating for mental health disorders. And that's why I wanted to make this channel and why I wanted to talk about DID. It is very harmful to see those who haven't done their research or pretend to have the disorder spouting lies or just hating on those who have done research and who have gotten the diagnosis. It is very, very disheartening. So I want to help educate those. DID is a very tricky disorder, and it comes with a whole baggage of mental illness, and it comes with a whole baggage of learning. It is a heavy disorder that is very personalized to people, and so you have to learn a lot about yourself, about others, and how you and everyone else around you can help. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much. This is a big help. I wanted to do this to talk about DID, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I encourage you, please go do your own research. I haven't talked about everything, and there's a lot more that goes into it. And if you suspect that you may have DID, please go talk with your local health professional and get right on it. It's better late than never. If you are seeing this video and doing your own research, and there's no harm in seeing a diagnosis or seeing a therapist or a mental health professional. There's no harm in it. So have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.